Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and it's a sad day. I think anybody that was really interested has watched Snare's video, and yes, Snare has left the building like the rock star that he is. I have to pour one out for him. Oh shit, I've made a clean spot on my carpet. Never mind, I'm sure I'll dirty it up. So yeah, just a quick bit of housekeeping, just to let you guys know where the channel is going as we proceed, because we are going to proceed, because gaming is in my blood. But having said that, it's going to become a beauty channel, and I'm going to show you how to make those eyebrows really pop. Nah, just kidding. Although some of you out there are probably going, I fucking knew it. But nah, we're not going to be doing that. I am going to take the amount of videos down to just Saturdays, though. I think that will give me extra time to polish them up a bit more. And also, I want to move away from doing Let's Plays because they don't chart well. I mean, I don't want to put out content you guys don't want to watch. So unless I specifically asked to do one, I'm going to try and knock those on the head for the most part, unless it's a real emergency. So we're going to be looking more at opinion pieces, lists, reviews, and news content. And that's where I see the channel going forward. So hopefully that interests you enough to stick around now you're being deprived of Snare's lovely nose. Because let's face it, it's all about the nose with Snare. Anyway, let's go on to today's subject. Today's subject is, of course, as you can see from the thumbnail, it's UFC 4. So the fourth game coming from EA of the Cage Fighter. And I've been a big fan of all of them. EA UFC 3, I bullied Snare into putting it into our top of the year. Not the tippity top, but I think it was second or third. Because I just loved it. It was just really nice. This one, I'm a little bit more ambivalent about. They fixed some stuff that was wrong with the previous game, but they've also introduced sort of more problems. Okay, so we'll start with an easy one. The commentary team has changed. We've got John Anik and Daniel Cormier doing this one, not Joe Rogan. Now, I'm well happy with that, because it's clear to me that Joe Rogan doesn't need to commentate for the UFC in real life. He certainly doesn't want to commentate EA UFC games. The only time he does commentate is when there's a fight he wants to watch in person. In my personal opinion, I like Joe well enough, but I think he should stop doing that and pay for a fucking ticket. I mean, you've got other guys like Felder, Bisping, DC himself, Dominic Cruz. You know, they put in work. They go to all the little shitty shows, so to speak. You know, to be fair, they're usually quality cards all year round, and they get a big show coming up, and they're like, oh, I can't wait to commentate on this one, and then Joe just swoops in and takes it from him. I think that's a little bit arrogant, and I'm glad he's not in the game, because let's be fair, he doesn't want to do it. Also, because he didn't want to do it, they never really recorded lines together, him and John Anik, whereas you can tell Anik and DC did for this time, and they have literal conversations during the fight like you'd hear in a broadcast, so the commentary is actually a lot better without Rogan, in my opinion. As good as he was when his heart was fully in it. They've also changed the gameplay up a little bit, so some of the controls have been switched. You now just, when you try and stuff a takedown, for instance, you used to hold down right trigger and down on the right stick, and now it's both triggers, which kind of screws me up because I've put probably 150 hours in EA UFC 3, and I'm still trying to go down on that damn right stick. It's just, I never get it. I am terrible at defending takedowns now, so I will have to keep practicing on that set. They've also shortened some of the button combinations. In the previous game, you could be holding up to 4 buttons at a time to do a move. This time, I think it's down to 3 at the maximum, which is most welcome and a very reasonable change. The submission system is completely different. Beforehand, you used to try and push out sort of the gates and switch them around and sort of chase each other, and you were just waiting for the prompt to come up to hit to go into the next part of the submission. This time they've taken their cues primarily from WWE games, where you have a ring for choke submissions where you chase each other's bars around, and obviously if you're defending you try and stay away. And then you have sort of a sort of quarter ring on the bottom of the screen for joint submissions, where you use the left and right triggers to move and try and overlap once again. They work well enough, but I prefer the gate system that was previously in it personally. It just felt more unique and not like I was playing a WWE game, which is not helped by the fact that you now have cosmetic items that just look ridiculous. Like, you want a fighter that has a tiger head? Yeah, you can do that. Okay. I personally, I prefer like more realistic stuff, but you know, that's personal preference. I mean, I know like the Reebok do all this shit for everybody but the UFC and themselves, and I'd like to see the fighters in a bit more range of outfits, but that's what I see on TV, so that's kind of what I want. So when you have crazy outfits and tiger heads and all of this bump, I really just, I'm just not that into it. You can, there is an option to like sort of disable it for certain modes. So yeah, it's personal preference. The one good thing is you don't need to spend any money this year. There's no, you could spend money, but it'd be stupid to do so. All the unlockables are cosmetic only. And like I say, all the UFC like license gear is there from the start. So if you just want a realistic experience, you don't need to worry about it. You get a free sort of pack every time you level your profile up, which you do through all of the game modes, and that will contain cosmetics and stuff to decorate your little profile plaque with, and you know, all of the standard cosmetic stuff you've come to expect. There's no Ultimate Team this year. I didn't mind it too much in 3. I never spent any money on it, but I like the fact you play a match to an Ultimate Team but in offline, and still import other people's creative fighters. So that gave it some legs and some interest for me. And I did alright. So now the modes are pretty well done actually. You've got 6 or 7 game modes just for playing. Actually, I think it's like 5. But you do have a list of options, and you can also open up the weight classes a bit as well. So that gives you the options to have combined weight classes. So you have them, say, over 2 or 3 weight classes, and some do give you the option for open weight classes as well, which is lovely. Which is something you could do in the previous game, but only through tournaments. They've also introduced 2 new arenas, which is Akumate Arena, obviously based off of Bloodsport, but it's kind of got like a Mortal Kombat twist to it. So you've got like almost a Doom announcer going over it, and you're there and you've got your fists wrapped. Not Muay, the other one, the one that Tony Jaa did, where it's like really wrapped. And it has like over the top sound effects, and it is fun. It's silly, but it's fun. And then obviously because, you know, George Masvidal, or Jorge Masvidal, I always said Jorge, but everybody says George, so I don't know. He's the new golden boy, so we obviously have to have sort of a nod to him. And we've got a backyard arena, so you can have like Kimbo Slices in the game is a legend as well. And so yeah, you get that. It's fun for what it is, but it's just literally another cosmetic arena. There's no real benefit in having it or not having it. Again, it's just a little bit of variety. Now, where you will be spending most of your time is in the career mode, and they've done some things in this I like and some things I'm not so hot on. So basically they've tried to give you this coach who finds you at like an indie event and says, "Oh kid, you got a lot of moxie, I want you to come train with me," and all this, which is fine. I mean, I remember EA MMA, and your coach was Bass Rutten, and that was fantastic. It could just be that it was Bass Rutten, because he's amazing in everything. But yes, I was down with him doing that, but it really doesn't have any impact. So he takes you through the tutorial, then pops up when you get a title shot, and then pops up again when you retire. And you're just like, well, thanks, coach. I've had 50 fights. I haven't seen you in fucking 15 hours of gameplay. Where the fuck have you been? So it's not as well implemented as it should be. And it kind of tries to start it off as like a wraparound thing where he's talking to a news guy. And you think, oh, this is going to be like, it's going to come full circle. It doesn't. Nah. So it's a nice idea, but it doesn't feel really well implemented at all. One thing that being at one gym does is remove one of the things that was the most stupid thing in the history of the world from the previous game. It's where you would sort of spend your time doing chores for the gym, and that would lower your gym costs. Which sounds good, until you realise if we move to another gym, say you want to pick up like dedicated boxing training, or there's fighters over there that have specific moves you want to learn. When you go to that gym, you lose all the bonuses from your previous gym. So even if you're coming straight back, all that time's wasted because you're back to zero. Because you're not doing that in your same gym, they've also changed the way the gym fees work. Because before it was just like a set monetary fee. And like paying 150 grand for training seems like a lot until you're earning like 5 million a match. Or a fight, I should say. So it didn't really make a difference. This time they do it in percentages. So if you have like up to 6 weeks training, that's 50% of your purse. Like half. Once you're earning millions and millions, it's less significant because you're never going to sort of not have money to do the things you need to do. But again, when you start, that's a lot of cheese from a not significant amount of like, I think it's maybe like 10 grand, 7 grand, 6 grand maybe. You get initially paid. So getting 3 grand is a bit like, oh. Especially now they've introduced injuries as well. Well, before you just went and sort of had an ice pack for 500 quid and it was fine. Now you need to recover that injury, so you can either wait until your injury recovers naturally, which eats up the time you've available to train for your fight, or you can go in and have it treated. And just to ice an injury costs 3 grand. I don't know where they're getting their fucking ice cubes from. That's ridiculous. Just to ice a wrist or something. Yeah, £3,000 please, or dollars I suppose in this case. So you do that. You also lose attributes from that as well. It's always used like half a star. Your attributes have been changed, so they're like out of 5 stars now, all across the board. You have your like general attributes, which are like punch speed, kick speed. You have your health ones, which are like cardio, and your wrestling ones, which is obviously top game, bottom game, all of that sort of thing. You also have perks, which you can purchase, which work like perks from the previous game. A lot of them are carried over, but you purchase them now instead of getting them via sort of training, and then slot them in, and you get 2 slots to start with, and when you hit UFC it sort of starts opening up the other 3 slots, so you have a maximum of 5. The way acquiring new moves work is you basically go, okay, I want to invite a fighter to the gym to train with. I like this. So you invite the fighter to the gym and it comes up and you're like, okay, there's the move I want. And you go through the menu fighters and there's a list of moves, and it has a monetary amount and a time amount. So you'll give up that much of your week's training and obviously have to pay this much for the fighter to come across, which is cool because that's what you would do with any training partner. You would have to pay them to participate in your camp. They're not going to do it for free. You know, they're trying to put food on the table as well. So that's cool. So they come across and you need to hit the move a certain amount of times on the guy teaching you, and then it's like, yep, cool, done, I'm off. But you can influence the price by having a better relationship. Every week you sort of get a limited amount of contact, so you can reach out to fighters and like, you basically just reach out to a fighter and they just like you better. There's no real interaction between fighters. Occasionally you will get someone sort of mention you in social media, and then you can go into that and you can go back with a negative response or a positive response. So your positive response will obviously make them like you more, so if you ever train with them in the future, they're cheaper to get in. If you have a negative response, they'll be more expensive to train with, but it will actually increase the hype of any fights you had with them. But anytime I've started beef with someone, I've never had a fight with them. By the time you know, I'd probably be due to fight them, I was already sort of well above them and moving on with my career. So I would imagine that'd be more significant in the end game, where you're champion and you're fighting the same 4 fellas sort of in a rotation. You could make it more use of it then, but you don't have the choice of when that happens. You're just very reactive. When the game says, oh, someone's mentioning your social media, you can go and respond to it. You can't actually initiate anything. And so once again, that sort of element of the game does feel as if it's quite half-baked and will probably be expanded on in future iterations. Speaking of being expanded upon, the graphics engine remains essentially the same. It still stutters when it cuts to you walking into the ring, which is a personal peeve of mine. I am playing it on a vanilla PS4, though I couldn't tell you whether the Pro will be better. I would expect it to be more high res and probably perform the same, but I don't know because I don't have one. So the camps that you go through, as I say, you can go up to usually 6 weeks. Some will be shorter, you'll have less time. And it feels a little fight night because of the star systems. The way you improve moves is you earn evolution points for sparring, and then you spend those on your statistics, and then you get move evolution points as you use the moves. So the more you jab, the better your jab will get, which in theory is a good idea. I like it because it makes sense to me, because it means the things I do often get better, and then I can actually tailor the fighter to the way I fight, which is a really nice move. But the training camps themselves are massively long and massively drawn out and really quite boring. So the way it works is you spar, you do wrestling, BJJ, boxing, kickboxing, or you can just work a heavy bag. That's your 5 options. And the more you do it, the sort of more time it takes, and the more benefit you get from it. But there's no skipping it. If you want to spar, you have to go in and spar and achieve your objective. Once your objective is achieved, you got the evolution points, and it gives you a percentile bonus to certain moves. Like if you do boxing, it might be like hit him in the gut 20 times. So you hit him in the gut 20 times, and then it's like, okay, plus 34% to hooks. So you'll be spending the rest of the fight hooking, but not trying to knock him out, because if you knock him out, he's injured, and you can't use the boxing sparring again that camp, which is annoying. When you're trying to really soft pedal, he just walks into something and just dies, and you're like, oh, for God's sakes. So you have to do that every time. There is an option to skip, but it will only give you a tiny amount of evolution points, and you will only just be able to get by in terms of overall fitness, because again, you have to get your fitness up in order to perform adequately in the next fight. So you do all this sparring, and it's a lot of sparring. 6 weeks you could spar 7-8 times, and you're doing promo stuff as well. There's all of that, and it just gets really boring because all of your sparring partners stay the same. It's all the same fighter. They just change up what you have to do to him in order to get the points, and then what sort of attributes are benefited after you've gotten to that point. So yeah, you spend like 90% of your time in camp. I know it's realistic. I mean, you would spend 90% of your time in camp in real life, but it just drains the fun out of it for me. And before it was like, okay, what do I want to work on? I want to work on speed bag, get the punch speed up. Oh, heavy bag, yeah, cool. And then it would be so quick, and then you'd be into the fight, and you'd be out there enjoying it. Now, I played it through the first career run to get a handle on the new controls and to see what it was like on easy. I'm going back through it right now on normal, which is the footage you're seeing. So if I get punched, that's why. Because I am quite terrible at these. So I'm working my way through, and I would spend like 20 minutes in camp, 25, 30, and then you get to the fight, and I would just destroy him in like sub 1 minute, and then it's back to camp again, and you're like, oh god, it's just not interesting. Obviously, the bigger a fight they put up, the less of a problem that will be, so I would not recommend playing this game on easy. Although, to be fair, you still have to take into account your overall sort of viability throughout the career that it allows you to do. So, you know, I had 50 fights and then had to retire with my easy guy. I think 30 of them were title defenses. Pissed me off because I'd had just the bottom to do on the stones on the belt for replacement. Which is quite disappointing for me, but that's part of OCD, I suppose, and how that works. There is a sort of beginner's mode to it as well in the grappling, so instead of like half guards, you know, side control, all that sort of stuff, you just have ground and pound, submission, get up, and you transition to one of those, and it will, if you keep doing it, it will transition you to a submission or a position where ground and pound is available, or, you know, advantageous, or a get up. But it's awful, because in like wrestling in BJJ training, you know, you're getting specific mount situations. So you might want to be in side control, you might want to be in a half guard, stuff like that, and you have no idea what that fucking thing is going to do if you use it. There is a hybrid mode, because confusingly enough, that's on the left stick, and your regular transitions were always on the right stick. So when it defaults to being on. You can turn it off and go back to legacy mode as well. So the hybrid one will give you two sort of options, one for like your general stuff and one for like, oh, there's side control, doing that. And you can just turn the easy one off. And seriously, if you have any knowledge of what the ground positions are called, or a passing knowledge of MMA, then turn it off. The simplified one won't do you any good. You'll be fine. I mean, certainly if you've played any previous EA MMA games or UFC games, turn it off. It's not going to give you any benefit whatsoever. So, now we come to my biggest disappointment. I loved it in UFC 3 when I could load my game facing and be there as this chunky warrior beating the snot out of people. I loved it. It was great. It really made the game special. And they've taken it away. In fact, they've taken it off their website as well. So apparently we're not getting that anymore. It's so disappointing. I literally booted it up for the first time when it created a character. I was ready to start off a new career with my beautiful mug. And after 15 minutes of coming in and out of new career, checking all the options, I eventually googled it. Nah, no game face. I was not happy. I love game face. It's great. Why would you take that out? It works so well. So well. I mean, they've taken out their FIFA games as well, which is equally annoying. But, you know, I'm less attached to the FIFA franchise than the UFC one, so... Oh, well. I guess it's something else that we're going to have to just hold up our hands and say, oh, we don't deserve that. Anyway, guys, I think I've rambled on long enough. It's probably getting on for 20-minute mark, somewhere around there. So, what are my overall opinions of EA UFC 4? I hope you like rap music as well, because they've pretty much overwhelmed the soundtrack with rap. And it's not even rap I like, so... But... Yes, I'm really ambivalent. I like some of the things they've done, but again, they've created so many more problems. Like anything comes down to personal taste. If you like grinding away through sparring, then, you know, fill your boots, this is a game for you. But it's not for me. I mean, I would really like to skip all of the camp stuff entirely. That's how we work. Because, you know, the social media stuff just goes nowhere. You really only do... I mean, you get more money for sort of hyping the fight, so I can see a case for that. But at the end of the day, I just don't want to do the sparring. It's too long. It takes too long. And I'm just bored of doing it. I'm on my second playthrough and I'm bored of fucking sparring. I was bored halfway through my first playing through. It's just a grind. It's like, oh, this would happen in real life, but it's not fun. You know, that's the work part. The fun is when they get in and fight. That's the fun. You go through all the training and sparring to get to that point. So I'm super ambivalent on it. It controls lovely. Some of the, I mean, you do takedowns after right trigger and square and triangle now, which I like better. The clinch system you can pull them in a clinch, but I have yet to work out how the fuck it works. Because you pull away and you'll back out of the clinch usually. I can't work out how to progress in the clinch. I mean, I've gotten on people's backs, no idea how I did it. None at all. Game doesn't tell you. I went through like a clinch specific tutorial and it didn't bother telling you how to progress in the clinch, just how to get in the clinch, how to throw strikes in the clinch, and how to back out of the clinch. I understand there's submissions from there as well. No idea how to do them. Game didn't tell me. So there's lots of problems with it, but overall it is more of UFC 3. I like what they tried to do with the career mode. They just didn't commit all the way. I'd like to be able to like go in and assemble my own team. That'd be cool. So you'd like be able to hire wrestlers and other fighters to be in your camp. You must have a management element to it. That'd be pretty neat, I think. So you'd like hire, I don't know. Excuse me. So let's say you hire like Greg Jackson as like your overall head coach, and then you could hire, I don't know, Matt Hughes as your wrestling coach or something like that. You know, something that just made the team feel personal to you. And then they could expand that if they wanted to as well and make it a bit more managerial. And maybe have like your other fighters that were still active that were in your camp, they would be in the octagon and maybe you would be cornering them. Or maybe a little cornering mini game or something. I don't know. There's places they could go with it. But I'm afraid it's 7 out of 10 for me. It usually is a 7, but this one earns it. So 7 out of 10, that is my grade for this game. I think, personally, there's enough annoyances in it to make it a worse game. The gameplay itself, the fighting in the cage, is fine. Once you turn off the stupid grapple assist thing, it's absolutely fine, and you'll have a good time with it. It looks exactly the same as the last game. Maybe there's a slight tweaks to the lighting and a few new models, but don't come in and expect them to look any significant amount better. Anyway guys, that's my opinion on UFC 4. I'm the most ambivalent over this in my life, because I want to go, well, I had fun with it, but I was also annoyed by it, but I had fun with it. Anyway guys, let me know what you thought of UFC 4 down below in the comments. As I say, we'll be releasing videos Saturdays going forward, so if one doesn't go up on Wednesday, don't think I've died. I mean, it's possible. It's possibly even likely. But don't assume. Anyway guys, that's all for now. You take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.